Okay, so you want to open a supermarket. You have looked at the numbers, and the numbers make sense. People need food. People buy food every single week, without fail, without exception, regardless of the economy, regardless of the news, regardless of what is happening in the world outside. Food is the one product that has never experienced a demand problem in the history of human commerce. You find a location, you sign a lease, you stock the shelves, and nobody tells you what is about to happen. The first delivery arrives. You have ordered carefully: produce, dairy, meat, dry goods, frozen, beverages. The shelves look full. The store looks real. You unlock the door on the first morning, and a handful of customers come in, walk the aisles, pick up a few things, and leave. You check the till, and you discover for the first time what a supermarket actually is. It is not a retail business.
It is a margin management business operating at a scale so enormous and so precise that a single percentage point of inefficiency somewhere in the operation is the difference between a profitable month and a catastrophic one. Here is the number nobody told you before you signed the lease. The average net profit margin of a supermarket is between 1 and 3%. Not 1 to 3% per product, 1 to 3% of total revenue, after buying the stock, paying the staff, running the refrigeration, managing the waste, servicing the lease, and absorbing every operational cost the business generates. 1 to 3 cents of every dollar your customer spends in your store ends up as profit. A supermarket doing $10 million in annual revenue makes somewhere between $100,000 and $300,000 in profit. That sounds manageable until you understand what it took to generate $10 million in revenue. The stock, the staffing, the refrigeration running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because the food does not stop needing to stay cold on Sundays. The shrinkage, the industry term for theft, damage, and spoilage that quietly destroys between 1 and 3% of your entire inventory every single month before a single customer pays for anything. 1 to 3% margin, 1 to 3% shrinkage. You are running on a knife edge where waste alone can eliminate your entire profit. Now, let's talk about what you are actually competing against. You are not opening a supermarket in a vacuum. You are opening a supermarket in a market that has been dominated for decades by chains that buy in volumes you cannot imagine, at prices you cannot access, and operate on efficiencies you cannot replicate. Walmart buys more groceries than the GDP of most countries.
The purchasing power that gives them over their suppliers is so enormous that they have been known to demand price reductions from manufacturers simply because Walmart decided the margin needed to improve. The manufacturer either agrees or loses access to the largest retail network on Earth. They always agree. Your independent supermarket is buying a pallet of cereal at a time. Walmart is buying a pallet manufacturing facility worth of cereal at a time. Your cost per unit is higher. Your margin is thinner. Your ability to compete on price is structurally limited before you have opened the doors. The customer standing in front of your cereal aisle with a phone can see in 10 seconds that the same box costs less at the chain down the road. And most of them will drive to the chain down the road. This is the first crisis of independent supermarket ownership. You cannot win on price.
The chains have locked up price competition for a generation. So you have to win on something else. Selection, locality, service, specialty products, the farmer's market feel, the butcher who knows your name, the deli counter that makes something the chain does not make. You have to be different enough that price becomes a secondary consideration. Most new supermarket owners think they can do this. Almost none of them actually do it before they run out of cash. Because here is the timeline nobody shows you. Day 1, you open with a full store. It looks great, feels great. A few hundred customers come through. Revenue is modest, but encouraging. Week 2, the produce section has a problem. The strawberries you ordered on Monday arrived perfect. By Thursday, half of them are unsellable. You mark down the rest, sell some, throw away the remainder. That throwaway is not just waste. It is a product you already paid for, that you paid to refrigerate and display and staff around, that generated zero revenue and cost you full wholesale price. Produce shrinkage in an independent supermarket runs between 8 and 15% of produce revenue. You bought $100 of strawberries. You sold $60 worth. You threw away $40 worth. Your margin on what you sold was already thin. After shrinkage, you are barely breaking even on the entire category. And produce is not the only perishable category you carry. Dairy, meat, deli, bakery if you have one, every single one of these categories has an expiry date ticking from the moment it arrives in your store. Managing that expiry date, ordering the right quantities, rotating the stock correctly, marking down items approaching their date early enough to sell them rather than bin them, forecasting demand accurately enough that you do not overorder on a week when school holidays change shopping patterns is a full-time job that requires experience, data, and systems that take years to develop.
You do not have years. You have the cash in your account and the lease running from the 1st of next month. Now, let's talk about the refrigeration. A mid-sized independent supermarket has somewhere between 50 and 150 meters of refrigerated display cases running continuously. The electricity cost of running those cases is somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 per month, depending on your electricity tariff and the efficiency of the equipment. If the refrigeration fails, if a compressor goes down overnight and you discover it at 6 in the morning when the temperature alarm finally reaches your phone, you are looking at a potential loss of every perishable product in every affected case. Dairy, meat, deli, produce, frozen, all of it potentially unsellable by the time the engineer arrives and the system is.
Your insurance covers some of it after the excess, after the claim is processed, after the assessor visits. Not tonight when you are standing in front of a walk-in that is 8 degrees warmer than it should be and climbing. And then the staffing. A supermarket is one of the most labor-intensive retail environments in existence. Receiving deliveries, stocking shelves, managing the checkouts, running the deli counter, cleaning, security, the manager who coordinates all of it. Labor costs in a supermarket run between 12 and 18% of revenue, which sounds lower than a restaurant, but on the volume of transactions a supermarket processes, it is an enormous number in absolute terms. And the staff turnover in retail is brutal. The wages are low because the margins are low, and the margins are low because the wages have to be low. And nobody wins, except the customer who gets cheap groceries and the chain that can absorb the inefficiency at scale.
Now here is where it gets interesting. Because there are independent supermarkets that work, that have been working for decades, that have loyal customers and healthy margins and no intention of selling to a chain. They all figured out the same thing. The margin is not in the grocery aisle. The margin is in the specialty. The butcher counter, where your experienced butcher breaks down whole carcasses and offers cuts the chain does not carry, and the customer pays a premium for the expertise and the quality. The margin on a custom butchery service runs 40 to 50% compared to 10 to 15% on prepackaged meat. The deli counter with prepared foods, rotisserie chicken, prepared salads, hot food to go, the margin on prepared food is somewhere between 50 and 60% because you are selling labor and skill, not just ingredients. The customer is not buying chicken. They are buying the hour they did not have to spend cooking it.
The cheese counter, the wine selection curated by someone who actually knows wine. The local produce section that stocks things the chain buyer in a distant office never bothered to list. The bakery that fills the store with the smell that makes people buy more of everything. Every independent supermarket that survives does so because it stopped trying to be a small version of the chain and started being something the chain genuinely cannot replicate. A human operation in a business that the chains automated into something efficient but cold. So here is where you actually stand. You are operating on a 1 to 3% net margin in a business where a single bad week of shrinkage can eliminate an entire month of profit. You are competing against chains with purchasing power that makes your cost structure permanently more expensive than theirs. You are managing perishable inventory that is trying to expire faster than you can sell it. You are running refrigeration equipment that will fail at the worst possible moment. You are staffing a business where the wages you can afford to pay attract the turnover you cannot afford to manage. The supermarket business does not reward ambition. It rewards obsession. The operators who make it work are obsessed with the numbers in a way that most people would find genuinely uncomfortable to be around. They know their shrinkage percentage by category every week. They know their labor cost as a percentage of revenue every day. They know which 3 products in the store generate more margin than the entire produce section combined. They make decisions about what to stock, not based on what they like or what feels right, but based on what the margin data tells them is working.
They are not running a food business. They are running a data business that sells food. The customer filling their basket on a Saturday morning thinks they are just doing their weekly shop. What they are actually doing is participating in one of the most operationally complex margin management exercises in retail. And the person watching that basket from the other side of the checkout is either obsessing over every number in it, or they will not be there this time next year.